Hello, everyone. Welcome to It's Sybil. I am Sybil Wilkes, and everyone is here. And will you please explain your absence? Because poor Quinn and I couldn't hardly get through the show, and everybody was like, "Well, where's Stephen Hill? Where's Myra J?" It was like none of your business. They're not here. Myra J, welcome back. Stephen Hill,
Thank
welcome
you.
back.
Thank you.
And young Quinn, thank you for coming back. Oops.
Great to be
Excuse
here.
me. That's why I was out last week.
My angelo candle. I don't know what happened. Okay,
Ooh,
sorry, y'all.
wow, that was maybe the ghost of Dr. Maya in the room. Myra J, welcome back. Where you been? What's the haps? What's the
I
goings
was
on?
I was in the Caribbean. A friend of mine invited me down to her cousin's wedding. So it was a beautiful wedding. It was beautiful. Just let me say this: it's very hot in Punta Cana. Very hot.
I can
Hotter,
imagine. Yeah.
yeah, hotter than necessary. Like, okay, I get the point. Okay.
It's summertime.
Right,
Okay.
Yeah.
right. Why am I sweating in the shade? Yeah.
You should have been in Mexico in October of last year. Oh my God. Speaking of which, Stephen Hill, how are you? What's
I
going
was
on?
there. I was there. I
How
was
are
there. I was
you?
in Mexico. I was in
Mm,
Mexico, boy. Spectacular. I don't know if I was at
I was
Burning Man.
concerned.
It's
Yeah,
gonna sound
I
like a
know.
joke, but I was actually at Burning Man, which evidently it was slow news day last Friday and Saturday because I
No,
heard that we were
every
all the rage.
day.
I heard
Yeah.
that we were all the rage. I heard that the Burning Man
Yes.
Festival and
Yeah.
our opportunities to leave or lack thereof were all the rage. So
Yeah.
that's where I
Yeah.
was. We'll talk about it later, I guess. Huh? We can talk about
Mhm.
And people are texting, is Stephen all right?
I
What's going
know. I
on?
was
I
I
know.
was
I was sad.
concerned. I was
I appreciate all of you.
concerned.
Everybody here checked in. I appreciated it, and it was interesting. I mean, one of the things that I'll talk about a little bit later. This was the first year we actually had the internet at Burning Man, right?
Oh.
Otherwise, like every time I've gone before, there's been no internet. That's part of the wonder of it. There's like a whole
Mm-hmm.
week of disconnecting.
Mm-hmm.
But the internet was absolutely it was essential to keeping up, if nothing else, to let my mom know that I was alive. Mom's like, "What's going on?" I'm like, "You're gonna hear about it. I want you to know in advance that I'm fine."
Oh, that's nice. We'll talk about that a little bit later. And young Quinn, how's school? How was school today?
Oh,
I
I
know. And
tomorrow.
it's
This week
Thursday.
we're gonna talk about the first Rainbow Coalition with Fred Hampton, who I didn't know. Just trying to search up fun facts about all these leaders. That he was actually a member of the NAACP before he joined the Chicago chapter of the Black Panther Party. And I think that's such a beautiful thing to note because a lot of times we look at all these different organizations as something separate and not like this long tethered line of like, oh, because you guys did this, we founded this, and then like forever just indebted to the NAACP in general. But we're going to talk about Mayor Harold Washington and the work that he did in Chicago and one of the most segregated cities in the United States. And then also talking about Marsha P. Johnson and Sylvia Rivera and Stonewall. And so we're going to see. Last week we read,
Wow, that is how long is the class?
oh, it's 3 hours.
Oh, okay. I was gonna say that's a lot to cover in an hour, but
Yeah.
that's
It starts at
ooh, okay.
5:30. We usually get out like at 8:30 or like 9. So it's a
Nine,
good time.
10, yeah.
Yeah. Last week we brought them food. And so this week I'm definitely going to bring them food too because that seemed to keep everybody like
Freedom food.
engaged. Yeah. We sat outside and like read poetry and everybody really liked that.
Bring some
Um,
Harold's chicken. The late mayor liked Harold's chicken.
yeah, I want to. I would love to bring them some real good food. Anybody
Yeah.
want to sponsor Uber Eats? Nationwide.
Okay.
Mhm.
Oh, you kids asking for freebies. It's my birthday. Send me money. So
Yes.
I'm glad you guys are all. I know your birthday's coming up, so send Quinn money. I'm glad you guys are all here and that you, Myra, are cooled off. I think I presume. And Stephen Hill, I'm glad you're back safe and sound. And as I said, we'll talk about Burning Man in a little bit. Let's talk about the What You Need to Know newsletter. This is our newsletter that we put out Monday through Friday. And we have stories in which we seek to super serve the African American community with our stories and talk about things that are by and for and about Black folks. And that is in politics, that is in social justice, that is in LGBTQ issues. That's Quinn's wheelhouse there. And also, once a week, we have a mental health and wellness article as well, which is something that we seriously need as well. And so these young people come together, Quinn and her big brother, Coy Malone, and April Russell, to talk about these issues as well as other things that are going on. We also have the Little Known Black History Fact. We have the HBCU Corner and everything like that, as well as talk about some important things that affect our health in terms of new and particular issues and topics. And we'll talk about that in just a little bit, what we're working on next with the American Heart Association. So, Quinn, young Quinn, let's start with you and talk about how many stars. I'm assuming you saw the movie. How many stars? You haven't seen it. I was hoping that you had, because I tried, and I don't know what's wrong with my Netflix account, but I could not. I could binge all of the Lincoln Lawyer, but when it comes to watching Rustin, I cannot. I can't get it. Bayard Rustin movie on Netflix. So.
Yeah.
Is it out
So,
yet?
No,
it was supposed to be August 28th.
right. I saw August 28th, and then I saw a date for next week on
That's what
September
I thought I
16th.
saw. Yeah, I thought I
But
saw.
then on the Netflix website, it says November 3rd. And so I see like 3 different dates. I don't know who can confirm for me. Hopefully somebody who watches us can confirm which date is supposed to come out. But I'm excited for it. Oh, no, September 17th?
You're on mute, Stephen.
November 17th. Oh, okay. So November 17th, this star-studded cast movie is coming out.
Is that George Wolfe that said that? Because unless unless it's the man who directed it or the Obamas, I'm going to just keep going back every week.
Does he know he's muted?
Stephen Hill.
You're muted,
Stephen Hill.
Yeah.
You're muted, darling.
Oh, he didn't know that.
He's just talking.
I'm so sorry. November 17th. November 17th, and it comes from IMDb, which is kind of like a Bible-like substance in entertainment. So I would rely on November 17th being it. Because I mean, there's a lot of anticipation about that movie. I didn't think Netflix would just kind of like throw it out
Well,
there.
why would they? They're just messing
Maybe it's the
with
trailer.
it.
I mean, look, I think there's a big
No,
deal
the
about the
trailer is
that just
good,
came out.
and I mean, it's like I want to see it now.
Right. Yes. Okay. Phew. Yeah.
Yeah, because we just celebrated. So November 17th is technically the anniversary on the March on Washington. It wasn't like this fast.
No, it's
No,
August
28th, right? Yeah, August 28th.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I wonder why they're saying all in November. Anywho, George C. Wolfe, who also directed Ma Rainey's Black Bottom with the movie with Viola Davis, Chadwick Boseman.
Mm-hmm.
There was somebody else phenomenal in there.
And a fine Broadway director too.
It was a really, really great movie produced by Barack and Michelle Obama. Rustin is coming out November 17th, y'all. So please get your Netflix accounts together. Get your cousin's password now. I'll watch it on the day that it's released because it is a long wait. I'm so glad that Bayard Rustin is finally getting his flowers. And for those who don't know, Bayard Rustin is the architect behind the March on Washington. He's a brilliant organizer and just even a more brilliant, openly gay Black man. And because not only because of his sexuality, but also because of like these claims that he was, a communist and just like, anti-war, he wasn't given the stage. He wasn't given the ability to be on the front line of something that he mentally birthed, but also like physically executed with the help of like so many other different people. And so it's really cool that they have playing folks such as like Ella Baker is going to be represented. Mahalia Jackson is going to be represented. You also have Martin Luther King Jr., of course. And of course, like organizations like the NAACP and like folks are going to be there as well. But it's primarily about the March on Washington and how he challenged authority, how he never apologized for who he was, what he believed, or who he desired.
Truly was unapologetically Black and gay.
Yes, and he never ever backed down from that. He never actually hid that away from anything. And to folks, like Reverend Martin Luther King Jr., who was already at that time like up and coming in terms of being an organizer and an activist, to Adam Clayton Powell Jr. and Ella Baker, they were able to conspire together to create this fabulous movement. And so this is just like also a really critical time with everything that we hear about that's attacking queer folks. And so I'm grateful that like finally Bayard Rustin is being inserted in that picture of civil rights leaders. Because growing up, like I never heard about this man. Never heard about this man. I didn't know anything about Bayard Rustin until I joined my political home, BYP 100. And it's also within BYP 100 that I heard about Fred Hampton and like Assad Shakur. And so I've always put him in this category of like revolutionary and somebody who's radical. And so I'm fortunate that like now the information about this man and who he was is actually becoming mainstream and also accessible, you know, on this like digital streaming platform.
So
it's also because the reason you hadn't heard about him because he was unapologetically black and gay. That's the reason you hadn't heard of him. He belongs up there on the Mount Rushmore pantheon of MLK, Malcolm X, Bayard Rustin, truly. So.
And he's a man of Omega Sci-Fi Fraternity Incorporated. So you would have thought I would have been heard about him because I'm a Delta. But like nobody really talks about him as much. So I'm really grateful that like Barack and Michelle Obama and like all the other producers took the time to say like, hey, we need to tell this man's story and really like thank him.
Right. And it really is regarded as a love story to Bayard Rustin and all that he believed, all that he stood for. This article is a review of sorts from Variety magazine and talks about Audra McDonald, who plays Ella Baker, Adrienne Warren as Claudia Taylor, and Glenn Turman as A. Philip Randolph. That's the one person that I wanted to see the relationship between those two, because A. Philip Randolph was a really old school labor organizer. And I'm just curious how that relationship is depicted in this movie, because it really was this, there would not have been a March on Washington had it not been for the initiative of A. Philip Randolph, the first Black labor organizer for Black men, the train porters. So that particular union, sleeping car porters. And so also, I thought this was very interesting. Jeffrey Wright is not Martin Luther King this time. He's Congressman Adam Clayton Powell. He said the biggest misstep, however, is Chris Rock as NAACP leader Roy Wilkins. When are they going to realize Chris Rock cannot act? When are they going to stop casting him in movies and TV shows?
Oh, I can tell you exactly the answer to that. The
Never.
moment that the moment he ceases to become the look, and I'm gonna get on soapbox here. The moment he's not the biggest name in the film, right? Because more people will go see this film because Chris Rock is in it than if he weren't in it. So I had a little problem with the because the quality of the acting is not necessarily the point when it comes to this point in time to talk about the movie.
Right.
And by the way, August 31st,
history has kind of erased a lot of that, right?
August 31st was the Telluride date, so it premiered at the Telluride Film Festival this past weekend. So, but he is if I'm not mistaken, kind of the biggest name in the film, and will probably be the reason people go see it.
Right.
I love Jeffrey Wright.
I do too.
I think Jeffrey Wright is one of what I would call underrated. Very much, unfortunately, underrated actors. He is so good.
Yeah, he even acted like a dark-skinned Black man when he played Martin Luther King. I really believe that either Martin was light-skinned like Jeffrey Wright, or he was able to really make us think that Martin was. That's how good he was in that series. So, but Stephen Hill, I get it, and I absolutely agree with you. I just think that it's just amazing how everybody has their moment, and this is Chris Rock's time, I guess.
It's really Coleman Domingo. I'm excited for him because
I am too.
Well.
I'm excited.
Although I got to tell you, Kwynn, I was really hoping for a better looking Rustin.
I was hoping for one that's actually gay, but
right. That right there. Right,
I don't know when Hollywood is going to stop doing that. When are they going to stop doing that? I don't know. I thought there was lots of gay people.
So my question is, how many men would have shown up for the part? Gay men would have shown up in Hollywood to audition for that part.
I hope all of them would. I don't know why.
Wait a minute. Wait.
I still think there's a bit. I'm sorry. Go ahead. I still think there's a bit of a
I realize in
closet.
that question,
Oh,
are you
yes.
making an assumption in that question, or do you actually know the answer to that?
No, I'm making an assumption because I still
No,
believe that
Quinn's
there.
question. Quinn's
Oh,
question,
oh.
not yours.
Oh,
Quinn.
about Coleman Domingo? He's not
That's
good.
correct.
Oh,
I'm sorry. You know this for sure. I want to make sure as you
you
put this
right.
out here that you know this for sure that they did
Let
not have a gay
me be
man.
correct and clarify. I look to the people. I don't know. You're right. I don't
Okay.
know. I
Okay.
don't know.
And
I was.
Barbara Ferguson
It
on
wasn't my
YouTube
place to
says
say it, but
Coleman is
Is
gay.
he? I'm about to Google.
Well, I will
feel
take Barbara's. I
feel
will take
free.
Barbara's word and Stephen's question, and I'm not, denying that. I don't have a gaydar, so I don't know. But
Mine is
he-
way off. Don't ask me how I know that.
but
Should we allow this moment of discovery for Quinn, or should we just move on? Okay, no.
Wait, I didn't know. I had no idea. That's wonderful. Oh, okay, that's so perfect. Because oftentimes Hollywood does cast straight people, even like cisgender people in like trans and queer roles. So I'm really, really grateful that the producers and the director was like never actually gonna find a black gay man. So shout out to them. I was wrong, y'all. Thank you for clarifying. And please go support this black gay man even better. Like, yes.
and let's not discount George C. Wolfe. So I mean, just as such. So it's wonderful, and I'm really excited. I just kept going back and looking at the trailer and just trying to figure out what the hell's wrong. I really did binge the Lincoln Lawyer. Just the other day, and I was like, and now I can't get on and see this. But okay, I gotta wait. I gotta be a patient person, I guess.
Yes, November 17th is the day that the Rustin film premieres on Netflix only. And I don't know the day that comes out actually in select theaters, but if you don't have a Netflix account, you can use Cameron's. He comes live on Tuesday on Sybil. Just ask him in the comments. He'll give you.
So
Your brother out there like that.
well, Cameron is a cinema guy. He's just directed his first short,
I
and he is a man of the arts. So
know.
I'm very proud of him for that, and follow Cameron, by the way. So also in the newsletter, would love for you all to take a look at the Black and Missing section. We do this once a week, and today looking for a young woman by the name of Phaedra Walker. Take a look at her picture. If she looks familiar to you or you have any information on her, please go to the Black and Missing Foundation website and check in with them and let them know what information you have. And Cameron, as we've been talking about, is our political contributor, and he is talking about Black unemployment numbers and their improvement in the month of August. And so that is good news, especially when you think of unemployment numbers going up as kids are going back to school and people are perhaps leaving their summer jobs and what have you. But this is very good news. The numbers looking good for Black folks in the country, and when you think about the fact that we're probably about 2 times what the white unemployment numbers are oftentimes. And good news for Black voters in Alabama. Check out the story. We talked about a state court, a 3-panel justice group that told Alabama, get your stuff together and put out a new map. You say you can't do it, you can. As a matter of fact, we'll help you do it. Here's a cartographer, that's a map maker, and here's a special master to help you do it. And you have to do it by a certain date in September, by the way, because it's not fair that the state of Alabama, which is 1/3 Black people, 27% of the population is Black. It's not fair that one congressional district serves the African American community in the state of Alabama, and that's by the great Terry Sewell, is the congresswoman there. So that's not enough. That's not good enough. You can do it, and you will do it. And they've just kind of been, saying we can't do, the super majority, conservative Republican majority in the state legislature has just been dragging their feet and not doing what the Supreme Court told them to do. So they took it back and said, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to get a map maker, show you how it's done. And we're going to get these people a second district where we could have a black person, put them where all the black people are, where they live, and put that district there. And so we'll see what happens, what comes of this. So, but good on them, because federal government, the federal judiciary, I should say, has not been as forthcoming and proactive regarding Black people and the Voting Rights Act and the right to vote. And gerrymandering didn't seem to bother them for a while, but they seem to be coming around to that. So that is all the good stuff that's in the newsletter. I'm very passionate because, as you can see, that was a story that I did, and I was like, oh yes, yes, and another thing, but also very passionate about Black people and their health. Do you all know what peripheral artery disease is, or PAD?
No.
Peripheral artery disease is the narrowing of the peripheral arteries that carry blood away from the heart to other parts of the body. The most common type is lower extremity PAD, which affects your legs, your thighs, and your buttocks, your hips area, and your feet. And in extreme cases, it can lead to amputation. And we will give you the facts about PAD in the What You Need to Know newsletter, but we're also inviting you to join us for an informative show on September 21st. That's before the Rustin movie comes out, for a very special show on PAD, and talking with people who have been affected by this, as well as an American Heart Association expert on the subject. That's September 21st here on It's Simple. So thank you very much. Let us move to what's really going on. And I asked Stephen Hill if he could be the focus of the what's really going on and how he felt about that, if he was okay with it. Because we want, okay, am I the only Black person that wants to know what's really going on with Burning Man? Stephen Hill, I don't know how many years you've been going to Burning Man, but you come back and you're so refreshed, and it just gives you a whole new outlook on life. And I don't know if it's herbally induced, if there's something that else that's going on that makes you, kind of gives you another spring in your step in regards to life. Um, but really curious about your history with Burning Man and what it does for you, and what the heck happened last week.
Sure, sure. Well, look, Burning Man is at top level. Burning Man is a festival that happens in the desert of Nevada. It's about 110 miles north of Reno. The nearest city is like 23 miles away. It's in an ancient lake bed. A dried up ancient lake bed. Was lake bed about 15,000 years ago. It's been going. Burning Man itself has been going on since 1986. It's been going out there in Nevada, probably for the last 15 or 20 years. I'm not sure exactly. My connection was I had a friend, two friends specifically, who used to go every year, like, oh my God, you gotta go. It'll change your life. I'm like, what is it? It's like that. It's hard to explain, but and these are friends who, when you hear about Burning Man being like, it's about a week full of lights and drugs in the desert, like, these are the friends who like probably were on that side of the thing. But what it really is Burning Man's primary tenet is like to provide a space where people can be entirely and unreservedly themselves, or the themselves they want to be for that week. And it's a place for expressing everything you might hold back in what we call the real world, or we call it the default world, while we're at Burning Man. So when you see the crazy costumes, it allows people to just flaunt their feathers, right? There are people who there are people who just want to take a bullhorn and shout nice things at people who are walking by. There are people who just love making popcorn all day, so they make popcorn for people coming by. Now, what you need to understand is, while you're at Burning Man, money means nothing, right? You can't buy. The only thing you can buy at Burning Man is ice and coffee. That's it. Everything else you bring in, or you count on the environment to provide for you. It is a big kind of hippie hangout. I mean, I can understand why people think, oh, it's a hippie hangout, and it is that, but it's so much more. Look, if there was ever a place for there to be a flood or adverse conditions, and then people help out each other, it was Burning Man, right? If this had happened somewhere else, I think all the hoopla that was made of by the news might have been the case. But I think once we realized it was going to rain, everybody hunkered down. It's like everybody got a person. Okay, we're in an RV, you're in a tent. We don't make sure you have a place to come to get food. You have a place to come to be safe, and that's why you didn't hear about any like horrible things or people start stealing things. That's not what Burning
Right.
Man is about. It was the ethos of Burning Man was tested during this, and to me, it passed with flying colors. Like it was a perfect lightning rod for people who had jokes before it and jokes, jokes because they weren't there or whatever it is. But it to me it is a great place to live so differently for 1 week. And then you're right. I and now my wife, I want to be clear. It wasn't Stephen Hill was in Burning Man. It was Shantae Moore was up in Burning Man. Let's be clear.
Right.
That's a whole different,
Right.
it's a whole different thing. But
and this was her
yeah.
second. This was her second year.
It's her second year. The second year.
Okay.
Last year was the test before to see if we were going to get married. See if if it didn't work out. The invitations had kind of gone out by that time.
Yeah, but it was a save the date. But
right, it was save the date.
But did they still burn the man Monday night?
They did.
Okay.
So the event usually takes place from Sunday to Sunday, where the man is burned on Saturday, and then and that's just a penultimate event. The real event is the burning of the temple. I won't go into that, but the temple is the solemn place where everybody collects their thoughts and they write on the right inside. It's a big wooden temple, and they put notes to people who have passed the transition in the year before, or attributes about themselves they want to see go up in flames at the end of the week. That's how it really is. So it goes Sunday to Sunday. So the man usually burns on Saturday. It burned on Monday night. It burned on Monday night this year. So it did burn. The temple burned on Tuesday night. Because Shantae and I left after the man burned. We exited. It took 6 hours to get out, and then 11 hours to drive back down to LA.
I always kind of thought of it as kind of like a Woodstock with less music or something.
Well, it's Woodstock with EDM. It's like Woodstock with EDM, but also an organized city where there are different camps and different themes of camps.
Okay.
The one you hear mostly about is like I believe. Can I say it? Well, it's called the Orgy Dome, right? That's this is the one people hear most about, where people just go in there like, whatever happens, right? Just go wild. And then there are these these different camps have different EDM music, so it's a lot of electronic dance music, and there's a lot of mushrooms out there. There's a lot of stuff out there. That part is true, but it's not necessary.
So mushrooms to go on your salads.
You don't want everybody's potato salad at Burning Man. In other words.
That's right. I'm sorry.
What did you say?
Are there police there? Like
Yes. Oh no. So this is federal. That's a great question. This is federal land. So there's state police, federal police, and local police all monitoring. Now, do they go up to everyone and say, "Hey, what do you have on them? What do you have on you?" No, but they make sure if ever there was a police there to protect and to serve, it's the people who come to Burning Man. They're not looking to bust you just because, just to bust you, but they're actually there to protect you and serve you. I've said this on this before. Not only is the police presence best there, and you really kind of trust it, and they cut to the ethos, but it's also the least racist place I've ever been in the United States for any period of time.
Yeah.
My 5 times at Burning Man.
Let's talk about the composition of the people who attend. What percentage would you say are Black people or people of color?
Oh, that's great. So I first went in 2017, and whatever percent 3 is of 70,000 is what I felt like the percentage was. In 18 and 19, before the pandemic, it felt like it picked up. And so while it's
then you missed a couple of years.
And then the pandemic had made it so 20 and 21 did not exist. The part I left out as I talk fast about this is it's also the largest kind of art exhibit. There's art everywhere, and interactive art, and people make structures. This year, a Black woman, the most fascinating piece I saw was a Black woman made a piece called "The Tip of the Iceberg," and it was I don't know where the accent goes, a clitoris as like Stonehenge. People called it Clithenge. And then, but it's fascinating. You look at it and you're like, and it's the entire organ, not just what most of us see is the tip of the iceberg, right? I learned that the organ, you see the tip of the iceberg, but it's an entire curved organ inside of a woman's body. Now, I
And
want to be clear.
sometimes men need direction with that.
I can find the tip. I can find the part C, but I had no idea that the rest of it existed. So there's a larger. I said that I would say there's a large amount of black art, especially now. But that's because Burning Man has been insistent and very intentional about getting more diversity on the playa.
What were you saying, Myra?
Oh, I was asking Stephen here when he passed the word, when he said, I didn't know that this was the tip and the rest of it existed. I was like, pass the word. Okay.
No, I said I knew the tip and I didn't know about the rest of it.
Right. That's what I was saying. Pass that word.
I will. Yes.
Like,
Go on the journey through Stonehenge there.
Here's the funniest thing. This is absolutely true. I won't go to. So literally, the where this happens is maybe 3 square miles. Within a 3 square mile, maybe 3 square miles. That would be 9 square. Oh yeah, it's a decent amount of square miles. So. And this piece of art was way out on what we call the playa across the dust. I swear to God, my wife was like, there it is, it's over there.
A woman having to tell you where it is.
I'm usually good at finding it. She was like, it's over there, I see it. And, But again, I challenge. Look, I'm not sure that everybody here know exactly the full shape. Did you know the full, like this whole? Like there's a whole thing. There's a whole.
I've seen mine. You never. Oh, well, of course you wouldn't have a doctor who holds a mirror up and shows you.
But the part that's inside.
Yeah,
okay, I'm sorry. I'm okay.
Yeah.
I'm Kwynn knows I have no problem being ignorant on this show, so ignorance not bad to me. I learned. Look, I got no problem. I learned.
So Stephen Hill, what are the chances, first of all, that a hurricane would strike the state of California? And what are the chances that the hurricane would have a storm that came out to the middle of the desert in Nevada?
Once in 100 years, maybe once in 100 years, right? So we all consider ourselves lucky that I've forgotten the name of the hurricane that came through her already.
It was Hillary.
Hurricane Hillary came through. If it had happened a week later, it would have been it would have been a disaster.
But you all were entrenched, and when it did come, it was like just people who were trying to get you're frozen, but people who are trying to get out got stuck in because from what we could see from the stories, it was just a messy mud pit of sorts, and people try in their big RVs or their little truck Jeeps or whatever. It was.
I saw what Chris Rock and DJ Diplo literally walked through the mud for miles and then hitchhiked, and they just rode on the back of somebody's truck. Yeah,
right.
That's how they get out. Yeah.
Yep.
Oh, how Rock got out?
Yeah.
Okay,
he and Diplo, like Myra said, they walked through all the mud, and then they got to a main drag, and then they hitched, and somebody on the pickup truck. And they recognized Diplo, but they didn't recognize Chris Rock.
That's Nevada for you. It was a 5-mile slog to get to the main road, and there are a few hundred people who did that, and it was the only way to get out. And you had, unless you called ahead for a car or somehow, you had to depend on hitchhikers to take you down the road. And when I say it's in the middle of nowhere, it's really in the middle of nowhere. Like it's like I said, 23 miles to the nearest town. The nearest town is a population of 196.
I had asked the question, like, if police were there, just because it sounds like a pretty radical place. And that is the type of festival that I would think would try to model safety without a cop presence. Because the two are not conflated. Like, safety doesn't mean police. Like, safety could also just mean trusting whoever you're living with, or like just mutual respect, mutual understanding, clear communication.
And can you trust that you would get that from the police?
So that's why I was curious.
And that's the thing.
Oh, I was just hoping you would talk more about the Orgy Dome. That's what I was just hoping you would illustrate that.
So let me get the police first. So I think, look, I think you say you want a world without police until like you're being stuck up or something like, you're held up, and you really want them for the protection part. And that's what I like about the police there. The police there are really there for your safety. They're not trying to bust you. I know it's hard it's a hard thing to process. Like, oh no, police really are there to protect and to serve you. Like if you are, for some reason, if you're taking too much drugs or something, you want an official presence that can get you to the place you need to go for you to be healthy, and then not arrest you for it. Their job is to get you there for your health.
So do they audition
right? If someone's
these
acting
people for this?
No, I think there is a process that these rangers go through that is unique from any other process somewhere else, because it's astonishing in its execution. Because I'm like Kwynn. I'm not used to police really being there
for us
to make sure that we are all a social good without trying to fill a quota of arrest or trying to make us to be the bad guys or whatever it is. But it worked.
Well, I thank you for this. I'm sorry, Myra. You want to wrap? I'll give you the last word.
In Vegas, years ago, New Year's Eve, they cut off the strip. People are in the street, smoke, pills, whatever you want to do. Police are just standing there like, as long as y'all not fighting. That's what I heard. Okay.
And that's what.
I'd love to tell you about the orgy dome, but Yolanda, we just don't have time, right? Okay, we're moving on. Okay, Yolanda, blame it on Yolanda. Blame it on Yolanda.
I'm actually not gonna be there next year with my son hat. I'm gonna see that clip.
So I thank you for indulging us, Steve, with this, and it's very interesting. I'm that Black person that was interested in Burning Man.
Me too. I've never heard anything really about it. I didn't know it was a festival this whole time. I thought it was some type of indigenous affiliation or some type of indigenous sovereignty at all, but it doesn't sound like they had none of that. That's unfortunate.
Not at all. No.
So let's move to trending. Let's find out. Myra J., you have comedy dates coming up?
No.
Okay. I know you had one canceled, I believe.
Yes.
Was there one? Okay.
Yes. One.
They have not readjusted the date on that?
We have not. Oh, crap. I will have the date, but Jay, Anthony Brown, and I are going to be in Brooklyn, New York. Very, very next month. Yes. New York.
Spectacular. Spectacular.
And the shopping will commence.
And she's talking about Jay, not me.
Right. We go into this little place, it's like a hole in the wall, and it was a territory and a maze of stores and people selling stuff that not consigned by the original designers. But it was fascinating and it was scary at the same time. I'm just saying. Concert dates for your Songbird, Stephen Hill?
September 23rd in Washington, D.C. at the Thurgood Marshall benefit. Looking forward to that. And then some dates that I don't remember the dates of. St. Louis, Chicago coming. And as well as another D.C. date. D.C. My hometown be showing a lot of love for my wife. On November 9th, I believe it is, at
is the first
DC
date around the CBC, the Congressional Black Caucus? I remember she was there last year.
I don't think it's along Black Caucus, although I think.
Okay. Young Kwynn, what you got popping?
Nothing. Blessed be the fruit. I am enjoying this gift that my ancestors have gave me of rest, and I'm hoping to create just to create and not create to be productive during this time. So,
okay. One thing that we did not discuss this week, and I did want to make note of, two deaths. I wrote about Captain Bill Pinkney, who was the first Black man to sail around the world alone. And going through the Cape of Good Hope, as well as the one in South America. But there were two other deaths that occurred this weekend. One was the former New Mexico Governor Bill Richardson, known for his efforts in freeing hostages and other wrongly detained Americans, died in his sleep at his summer home in Massachusetts over the weekend. He wore many hats throughout his life: a congressman, a 2008 presidential candidate. Nobody did well except for Barack during that particular time. A UN ambassador in the Clinton administration, and a secretary of energy. But as I said, he was probably best known as Governor Richardson of New Mexico, as well as the man who went and brought a lot of people who were being held in foreign countries against their will, brought them back. Namely, one of the most recent ones was Brittany Griner. And when she did come home, she and her wife put out a special thank you to Governor Richardson for his work in getting her released from a Russian prison. Um, he was probably, if not the first, one of the leading Hispanic candidates that ran for president in 2008, as I mentioned. And that was also the year that, Hillary ran against Barack, and Joe Biden ran against Barack Obama, and so on and so forth. And all of these firsts, but it was the first black man that found his way to the White House. He was nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize and set a Guinness World Record. Nominated for the Nobel Peace Prize 4 times, I believe. This last time was just last month for freeing hostages and other wrongly detained Americans. And his Guinness Book of World Records record was for shaking the most hands consecutively, and I believe it was over 13,000 when he was running for office at one time. Um,
That'll give you carpal tunnel.
right. My next person is Jimmy Buffett. I was a Jimmy Buffett fan. I never saw one of his concerts, but I did like his music. Stephen Hill, did you ever meet him?
I did not. No, I wasted a lot of days in Margaritaville, but
Right,
I did not,
right.
not at all meet
Yeah.
Jimmy Buffett.
He had some really uh, upbeat music, and then there were some that were just very poignant songs that I could pull out and play at any time. But his quality of life was just so great. He was a man who, did it all, worked in the seas. He was a pilot, and he was an incredible entertainer. And how, I will tell you how I came to know Jimmy Buffett. Bill Ed Bradley did a great piece on him for 60 Minutes, and they became the best of friends. And so when I saw this piece, I was like, wow, if Ed Bradley is this effusive in his praise, just check this guy out. And so I started listening to his music, and like I said, I was not a parrot head, is what they called his fans, but I did enjoy his music, and just seeing how many people were affected by him, and the number of people who have come out and talked about him in his days, and the fact that he had been fighting cancer for 4 years, and he had a type of skin cancer that was most deadly and most rare. And his sister, he and his sister were diagnosed with cancer about the same time. She's still fighting, and unfortunately, he lost his fight Friday night, surrounded by his family, his friends, and his dogs. And I don't know if you can ask for much better than that. Did you all see or hear about the video that went viral as of yesterday? It was pointed out of a Michigan policeman caught kissing a woman in the video near a school area, or at least a playground where children were playing.
When they went in the back seat of the car, or
And
something?
then he escorted her to the back seat of his official SUV, and with the woman who was not his wife, by the way. And he was identified as Officer Francesco Marlet.
I thought
His
you were going
wife.
to say officer friendly.
Well, he was friendly with this woman. Officer Friendly Francesco. His wife did see it and called him out on Facebook and told his mistress she hopes that she rots in hell be. So she got on Facebook. She said, "There goes my husband and his mistress," wrote the wife, who is a sister. And in the post, alongside the 47-second clip, less than a day after the Prince George's County Police Department identified him as the man in the video and suspended him pending an investigation. She said, "This is a very tough time for me and my kids. An embarrassing and painful experience. I know what's going on. Publicly naming the woman and who was filmed with her husband and said that the woman's husband left her a long time ago because she cheated. So she and my husband decided to do this behind my back for years. I love you all. She didn't say that to the husband, except for you calling out the other woman. You can rot in hell be. And the other woman
Wow.
came back. The other woman came back and responding, accusing the scorned wife of not saying the whole story. Not that I owe anyone an explanation, but here we go. This girl has been cheating on her husband for a while now. She claimed without offering any proof, not that we needed any.
I
I've
think
done
that's
nothing
key.
wrong. Please don't be mad at me because your husband wants me. Well, why isn't she mad at the husband? She's just calling this woman out. But what about the husband, Steve?
Yeah, I'm mostly concerned. I may, and I apologize. My home internet is macked up. But are these people black?
The wife is. The policeman is not.
Let me just say this: so many times, as,
And I believe the
as
girlfriend, the
women,
other woman, is a black woman
we
too.
we 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 often go after the other woman. Like, hello, what about the person that's coming home to you? What about
Right.
that person? Yeah,
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
and it's not right.
But the reason behind that, I'm sure any psychologist, I could be wrong, but it's like the reason is because if it's the person that you're with, then it says something about you, and you're the bad person for picking badly. So it has to be somebody's fault that has nothing to do with you, and that is usually the other man or the other woman. So I have to blame that person because anything else brings it closer to being my own fault.
And there will be girlfriends. I told her. I told her. And maybe even her mama and a friend or two. Yeah. And that
I
could
also
be.
think there's a bit of like slut shaming in there, like as women, what we do for like mistresses of like women that sleep with married men or whatever. There's just lots of like anger
Hmm.
towards the woman initially. Like I don't think there's actually anger given towards the partner. It's more of a grief, like a sadness. But that anger has to be given to somebody, and we folks don't tend to really give it towards the man. But
And apparently,
As a former bad actor, I'm gonna have to disagree with you there. There's some anger towards the men when the men is in that situation as well.
Oh, I
Like
had
it's not
enough
it's
for
not
I don't
everybody.
think
it's,
it's true, though.
it's not just
I feel like
say,
when we get to the
say that again,
business,
Myra.
I had enough for everybody. Everybody gonna get some of this smoke, okay?
yeah.
Oh! You thought this was all the smoke? Come on, baby. I ain't done.
I
I
feel
was
like
just at her house. I'm
I
waiting on you
feel like
now.
give it initially, but I just feel like just the way that love works, like I just feel like there's an actual sadness first before anything. But I also do think more so, like I said, there is like just this slut shaming that happens with women against women in general. Like we slut shame so much. That's how patriarchy and misogyny has been internalized within women as well. We're the ones that actually call a woman a hoe. We're the ones that call women outside of names, as well as men. And so that's why I think lots of the hate is coming from too.
Quinn, you ever been cheated on? You ever been cheated on, Quinn?
Times, and I've been the mistress as well.
Okay, so
Well, that's
what
very
was your
honest of
anger
you.
towards? Was your
Okay.
anger towards just one, or was it towards the
I
like was
wasn't
it towards
I was more sad. That's me. I get more sad. There was a lot more sadness, especially because like I knew the girl, and it was somebody who originally told me that I had no interest. And so I was kind of like, dang, like, but I was 100% focused on him. Me and the girl had a conversation years later. But all of my tears, all of my essay long text messages were towards him. That's just the way
Mm.
that like I was raised. But as a mistress, like I did feel the hate towards the wife first. So it was interesting.
Wow. Yolanda, we had somebody who had a comment. Mrs. Davidson on Facebook said the officer told the wife the mistress was a cheat and told the mistress that his wife was a cheat. Yeah, that's usually the way it happens. Um, and
Okay.
and and somewhere in there may or may not be the truth. I don't know,
This
but
sounds like an open relationship.
it well, I think it's the picture that they showed. It was in the New York Post, of course. Was the family coming into the house, him holding one of the kids, and her opening the door. And maybe just slamming it in his face. We didn't see that part. I'm just thinking that might have happened. But just it's just, I just think it's just a damn shame that this is how her slut shaming, this woman and this woman coming back and telling her, well, she cheated too, and no, you cheated first. No, you both are wrong in somewhere in there. This is a nice story and new news. Golden State Warriors star Steph Curry and his wife Aisha have announced the launch of a new movement that will help Oakland Unified School District students receive nutritious meals and additional resources. They have said that the meals that they need to thrive, necessary support to become stronger readers, and great schoolyards and opportunities to be active and participate in youth sports. Eat, Learn, Play will launch a new movement, raise and invest $50 million in additional support, investing in the Oakland students by the 2026 school year. And they will continue to cover 100% of Eat, Learn, Play's administrative and fundraising costs. Good for them. And really
Love that.
putting their money. Yeah, I do too. I absolutely love that. And taking their gifts and sharing them with others and children in their school district. That's great. All right. So that is trending. Let us move to entertainment. And rumors of Whoopi Goldberg's demise are greatly exaggerated. She wants folks to know that she has not been on the first week of the new season of The View because she has COVID again.
Oh.
And I think this is her third bout with COVID. But she's come in via videotape, and people don't believe it. They're like, oh no, that's AI. Okay, you believe what you want to believe. Whoopi Goldberg's trying to set the record straight and said, the start of season 27 is without her because she has COVID and she's at home. Her third bout, and apparently, according to Joy Behar, some viewers hatched their own ideas about her whereabouts. And they said, well, she got the vaccination. How come she still gets it? That's the question everybody gets. My cousin she said, the worst case of COVID in her life. And she has had all of the vaccinations, the boosters and what have you. And she just came out of it. And I think it was like the day before yesterday, she got her first all clear test, COVID test, and proving that she was no longer positive. So everybody.
I'm realizing the projection I made on this show 2 years ago was absolutely inaccurate. I'd like to apologize. COVID's not over. COVID's not over. Right. I believe I said on this show about 2 years ago that COVID was over. Apparently I'm incorrect. Or ahead of my time. Either one.
I prefer to believe you're more forward thinking than that. Yeah. So that is entertainment, and let us move to the jewel for the day, our daily inspiration, Yogi's Jewel. Show gratitude to the universe by being kind to strangers. I think that's what that Prince George's County policeman said he was doing.
Okay, I was going with Burning Man, but okay. I was going with Burning Man, but okay.
But I was thinking Burning Man, but all right.
I'm sorry, I wasn't thinking Burning Man. So go ahead, Steve. Give us your Burning Man.
No, be kind to strangers. It's exactly what that is.
So Steve, did you guys bring people into the RV and allow them to stay and all of that?
We didn't find we had a need for that. People came in for food. We definitely had more food that we were able to feed from folks who were not, because we had a whole entire camp. So we were more on the food than the RV. We didn't run into many people who had a challenge with their lodging. Maybe it's because they had it in different places, but it was really more food and water.
Mutual aid. Mm-hmm.
What's that?
Nice.
Mutual aid. It's what
mutual aid. Absolutely.
Really, it's the abolitionist practice. Let's get to it.
All right. As we close out, I want to remind folks that the HBCU NY Classic is coming, and it's coming soon. Check this out.
Get ready for an epic showdown on September 16th as Morehouse and Albany State take the field for the Toyota HBCU NY Classic at MetLife Stadium.
Football season is back, and this is the game you can't miss.
Join us for the world's largest HBCU homecoming to experience the thrill of HBCU culture like never before.
Enjoy the ultimate celebration with a pregame tailgate, battle of the bands, and an iconic halftime show.
Don't wait. Get your tickets now at hbcunyclassic.com.
Have a great